Every serious reader should keep their own book of quotations. Now, another word for this is a commonplace book. If you know anything about my channel, you know I'm obsessed with commonplace books, but they don't have to be all complex and scary. I just think every reader should be collecting quotations from the books that they read and putting them into a notebook for them to reflect on later. That's it. It's just that simple. But think about it. Why would you spend your whole lives reading all these books and then not remembering what those authors said? I mean, just think about this. Some of your favorite authors have spent years crafting their works, their novels or their tomes or their treatises. They've spent hours and hours, and some of them years, in order to craft the perfect sentence, the perfect wise saying. And then we read them and we go, wow, that was really splendid. That was really wonderful. That was exquisite. Okay, on to the next. And then we just put it on our nightstand and we fall asleep, and then we forget about that wonderful line. Don't do that anymore. We need to stop doing that. We should collect those sayings, those quotes, and put them in one spot for us to read back on. Create your own favorite book by harvesting the quotes from the books that you read all into one spot. I think you should do this by hand because this is going to help store those quotes in your short-term and long-term memories, but it's also going to probably make you a better writer by just going over the exact line that your favorite author did. By writing that back out, it's going to help you get their cadence. It's going to help you get more inside of their mind. So just get yourself a physical notebook and a pen and start marking up your books. Make marginal notes, marginalia. Just write notes to yourself in the margins to help you think back on the book. And then go back later and harvest the quotes that you read the first time. It's really that simple. So welcome to ParkNotes. I'm Parker Settecase. I'm a philosopher and theologian, and this is a channel where I help you study, think, and read more deeply. In the rest of this video, I'm just going to show you very simply how to make your own commonplace book, your own book of quotations to help you remember the wonderful sayings that we find in the books that we read. It's going to look really, really simple. It's just a line on one side for a citation, and on the other side, there's a quotation. So you can just get yourself a notebook. I like pocket notebooks because I like to bring these with me. This is my Pocket Proverbs book of Sententiae, or wise sayings. So I'm specifically harvesting wise sayings from all the books that I read, fiction or nonfiction. I like finding wise sayings. I want to be an old sage. Hopefully someday I'll be able to grow a massive beard and I'll be all old and wizened and grizzled and I'll look like a sage. That'd be awesome. But I'm not going to get there without my Pocket Proverbs commonplace book. So get yourself a notebook, get yourself a pen, and then get yourself a symbol to help yourself find those quotations later. So while you're reading, you don't want to be stopping and then adding quotes and sentences to a notebook. You want to continue reading. You want to get through that book. You want to follow the train of thought. You want to stay on track with the theme of the novel. So the worst thing is to have to go and write down a quote and then come back and try to get back in the zone. Don't do that. Just give yourself a symbol or a word to write in the margins and keep going. You find a wise saying, you find a quote that you're definitely going to add to your book of quotes, just put an eyeball. Or I like to write sententiae. Write wise saying, write a Q for quote. Whatever it is, pick something and then put that in the margins to remind yourself when you go back to just harvesting those quotes back out. That's it. It's super simple. So you can try this. You should start doing this today. Now, like I said, you just need a notebook, you just need a symbol, and you just need a pen. And speaking of pens, that reminds me of the sponsor for this video, Novium. Novium Hover Pen. These make fantastic gifts for yourself or for your friend who's getting into journaling and notebooks, or maybe just loves science fiction and futuristic tech type stuff. Whoever it is, if they like cool stuff, they're going to love the Novium pens. Inspired by the cosmos, hover pens are crafted from premium aerospace grade aluminum, and they float gracefully in a specialized magnetic field on top of their stand. No electricity needed. These are stylish and refillable, and they offer a comfortable writing experience. Not only do they look great on your desk, they're also a great conversation starter. I really love the Hover Pen Interstellar. It's a ballpoint pen standing on its base at a 23.5-degree angle, which is a nod to the Earth's axial tilt. It's received the Time Award for one of the best inventions, and it's available in 4 colors: Space Black, Starlight Silver, Neptune Blue, and Mars Magma. There's also a premium version featuring an authentic meteorite shard embedded in its tip. The meteorite is older than the Earth itself, making it the oldest object you'll probably ever touch in your lifetime. Now, I also love the Hover Pen Future, which is a dual fountain pen or rollerball. You can just change out the tips for whichever you prefer when you prefer it. I personally love the fountain pen nib. So whether you're a science or space enthusiast or just a stationary enjoyer, the Hover Pen is the ultimate gift idea. So for 48 hours, you can get 15% off all Hover Pens with promo code ParkNotes, or just follow my link in the description or the pinned comment. And Novium has free shipping to most countries. So big thanks to Novium for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to our book of quotes. All right, so here I have my commonplace book. This is a Norm Conn leather cover on a Leuchtturm 1917 A6, and this is the gold edition, back when they were doing special editions. And this is my pocket Proverbs commonplace book of wisdom. This is where I collect sententiae or sententiae, flores philosophorum, sententious maxims, gnome. This is where I keep wise sayings. And so maybe you just have a general commonplace book where you keep quotes from your favorite books or your favorite quotes from whatever books you're reading. But I have specialized ones. This is topic specific, so it's just for sententiae, just for wise sayings that I find in my readings. So this is a really simple way to keep a book of quotations. All you do is I count over 5 dots right here on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I draw a line. This is for the citation. This is for the quotation. That's it. That's simple. Now you have a book of quotes. Now you can help yourself remember all the best lines from all the books you've read. So I like a pocket notebook because I can bring this with me. This helps me refrain from the infinite scroll. I like to pull this out and look over wise sayings. Hopefully, I'll be able to store them deep in my own heart, deep in my mind and my psyche, so that I can say them at will. But it's also good for me to continually reflect on them. I thought these were good enough to write down. These are from some of my favorite philosophers and authors, so it's worthwhile writing them down and thumbing back through them from time to time. So that's it. That's the inner workings. It's really a pretty simple method. But let me show you how I go about actually collecting up all the wise sayings from the books that I've read. So here I have René Descartes' A Discourse on the Method. We recently read this on Parker's Ponderings, my Substack. We do read-alongs, and I write philosophical companion essays to help you guys think through the philosophy of the books that we're reading. I've been switching off between nonfiction and fiction, and we just got through this the other day. This time, reading through, I made sure to mark off sententiae, wise sayings, for me to come back and add them to my commonplace book. Now that I have sententiae marked off, I can thumb through looking for that in the margins. All I have to do is look back through and find my own note on sententiae. So right here in part 1, the first sentence I have marked off as sententia. That's a wise saying. Good sense is the most evenly distributed thing in the world, for everyone believes himself to be so well provided with it that even those who are the hardest to please in every other way do not usually want more of it than they already have. So I think what he's saying is people are proud. They're not willing to admit that they are lacking in common sense. So everyone just assumes they have it. Yeah, I have it. I don't need any more common sense. I have common sense. I'm very sensical. I have it. I don't need any more. And I think it's a funny, wise saying. I think it's an aphorism. And so I'm going to add that to my Pocket Proverbs commonplace book. So what's really helpful for me is to use a book weight. I'm going to push these other books out of the way. To use a book weight here. That's what this leather thing is. It looks like a sap, but I put the book weight there. I go to the next open page. I think I'll probably have enough room here. I will grab my pen, and then I just add it in. All right, and that's it. I have just successfully transferred a sententious saying, a sententia, wise saying, over into my Pocket Proverbs Commonplace book. And let's say I'm going to end here. I don't have any more time to go and harvest the rest of the wise sayings from this book. I'm going to take just one of these little book tab things, markers, and I will mark that spot. And then I know, hey, look, that's it. In the future, when I come back, this is the last page that I took from. So now I know I have to go to the next page. And it's really that simple. That's how I go about processing the quotes and harvesting them from my books into my book of wise sayings. So in nonfiction, you may find a bunch of aphorisms, a bunch of proverbs and wise sayings all in one book. But maybe you're reading a novel, something like Alfred Bester's The Stars, My Destination, where really this is plot-driven. He's trying to convey a message to you through a plot. And so the wise sayings are still going to be in here, but they'll probably be more sparse. And so this will be easier to process. Once you go back through, you've already read this book, you look for the wise sayings. I've already marked off 2 of them, for example. So I used to write proverb instead of sententiae, but then I came to find out that sententiae is the broader category, and it includes proverbs, but it also includes maxims and epigrams and all sorts of other wise sayings. So here's one from Bester. We always do what's natural, only sometimes we shouldn't do it. So I like that. I want to think about that more, and I want to be reminded of Gulliver Foyle and this fantastic book. I marked another one here for us. So here's another proverb, but really it's a sententia. Yes, no matter how we defend ourselves against the outside, we're always licked by something from the inside. There's no defense against betrayal, and we all betray ourselves. So I just think that's super profound. I love that. And so I will mark those off because I want to come back and add them to my book of Proverbs. So I started doing this with all of my books. I do a lot of different marginal notes, but one of my favorites is the wise saying note. This habit has become so beneficial for me because it allows me to continue reading. I come upon a wise saying and I think, man, I don't want to forget that. I would love to put that in my commonplace book, my book of quotes, but I need to keep reading. I only have so much time right now that I've allotted for myself, and I just got in a groove. So it's so easy to just mark it up. Just give it a highlight and write in the margins. I used to write proverb, like I said, but write wise saying or sententiae, whatever's going to signal to you. And so this is just my category. Whatever you guys like. Maybe you're really into justice and you just want to mark off all the justice texts. But I think it'd be best to do something a little bit more general. Maybe you just put a Q next to it to remind yourself that there's a quote that you need to come back and harvest. Whatever it is, make a marginal note for yourself. Continue reading while you have the time to read, and then come back later and harvest them. Pull them back out. Get yourself some of these cheap sticky tabs and then just mark wherever you're at. I've always been so amazed at how people can just rattle off wise sayings and quote books at will. I don't know how others do it, but this is how I've done it, and it's been fantastic. I love it. Some books like Dune are going to take you a very, very long time to get through because Frank Herbert was just full of sententiae. He was full of wise sayings, and he just made up a bunch. He also retooled a bunch from the past, and he jammed them all into Dune. So it's going to be hard to process a book like that, but it's well worth it. So that's how I do it. I think it's really beneficial and helpful. So the way I like to do it is stack up the books that I've read for a given year. And throughout the year, I may start processing those older books. I may start harvesting out the quotations from there. But I like to have a stack of books that I read that year anyways, just to remind myself, hey, it was a good year. And don't forget about the books that you've read. So then sometime in the new year, I can take that book back and I can start adding the quotes to my commonplace book. And then that stack of books acts like a progress pile. I know how many I've gotten through. Maybe you like to mix things up. So maybe you just don't want all the same quotes from the same author right in a row. So use the sticky tabs and remind yourself where you're at and move it. So you get through 5 more pages, move the tab, and then you're working through multiple books at once in order to mix up the quotes. But also you can think of this as your first draft. This doesn't have to be perfect. Your first commonplace book is just a receptacle, just a storehouse, just a treasury for your quotations, and they're in there. So you can go back later, reformat it, or move them into different specialized commonplace books. Whatever the case, if you are a reader, I think this habit is really going to be beneficial for you. So don't waste your reading anymore. Read the books, make marginal notes, give yourself clues to come back and harvest out some of your favorite quotes to remember the books you've read better.